Here I am again to talk about random stuff you may have never heard of, or it just might be your most favorite thing in the world. You can take a wild guess why I look the way I look. Well, this is how I really look. The face of the previous episode was just a Snapchat. Is this one gonna be about anime? Huh? Weirdly enough, I only discovered anime during 2020's first lockdown. Kind of a late bloomer because I grew up on American cartoons in the 90s. Yeah, I would skip homework to watch Disney R on ZTV. DuckTales, Aladdin, Tailspin. And yeah, not a Disney creation, but Tom and Jerry. And Warner Brothers Looney Tunes. And Roadrunner. And Scooby Doo. Fuck, I wanna go back to the 90s. I would consume anything that came from the US of A. The only anime I was familiar with at the time was The Jungle Book that aired on Doordarshan every Sunday morning in Hindi. So yeah, everything was good, everything was in harmony until Animix happened with their Japanese shows that were nothing like the American cartoons. And in the following years, what happened was the classic Disney shows started reducing in numbers. Sad. Very sad indeed. And they were replaced by Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Doraemon, Aladdin, and Doraemon. So, me being a Disney loyalist, I criticize the shit out of anime for being unnecessarily violent. Their characters would scream at the end of every sentence. And everyone would just get a huge drop on their forehead to depict that they're nervous. Didn't like it, didn't watch it. So cut to 2020, liquor stores are shut, toilet papers are the hottest selling products in US. So clearly, the end is nigh. And people around the world are trying new things at home before they die, like cooking, exercising, vlogging, and masturbating from the left hand, which doesn't work. So I thought I too will give a shot to something new, and in this case, it was anime. And what a breath of fresh air they turned out to be. But this is not just about the anime I will be talking about, but also the manga series that it's based on. And both are nothing but badass. And they're not suitable for kids. Like, there's some pretty dark shit that happens in both manga and the anime. Which one is better, the movie or the comic? I will tell you in detail. So this is not a review. I'm going to tell its story without spoiling the ending, but every other twist before the end, I'll be talking about it. So dive in with this special intro that I made because that's how much I love Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira.
理科の時間じゃねえんだよ。金だー！案をつけろよ、デコスケ野郎！やったー！
Akira was animated at 24 frames per second, making it one of the most smoothly animated films of all time. And this is highly unusual for any 2D animated film, as even the classic Disney films like Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, they were all animated at only 12 frames per second. And with a huge budget of $11 million for an animated film in the 80s, Otomo's team had only 70 animators who were all working at breakneck speed, rendering tens of thousands of frames and background layers. As a result, the animation is visually captivating. But it did not showcase the manga's full potential. What the audiences got were parts of a larger story, cutting much of the manga out of the film. So, long story short, manga is better than the anime. Well, that's because the anime is only 2 hours long and manga has 2,300 pages in total. So, just more depth, more character development, more twists. Now, the graphic novel's art is absolutely gorgeous. It is jaw dropping. And Otomo has a very distinct style that also contains incredible amounts of detail. So, the manga develops through 6 volumes with a great ending. Great ending! And is available in 2 versions, the official black and white version and the other version that's now out of print, but I much prefer the colored version. With the power of the internet, you can get the color version in CBR format. You know where and how to download stuff like this, I'm not going to tell you. But the other version, in black and white, is available on Amazon and Flipkart. So the story starts with Kaneda, as seen in the intro video. Yes, he's called Kaneda and not Canada. But the way some of us Desi people would say the country's name, like Nevada. So Kaneda or Kaneda is a bike gang leader whose close friend Tetsuo gets involved in a government secret project known as Akira. And on his way to save Tetsuo, Kaneda runs into a group of anti-government activists, greedy politicians, irresponsible scientists, and a powerful military leader. In both manga and anime, one thing remains the same. The leader of the biker gang, Mr. Kaneda, is a bona fide asshole. He's even a bigger asshole in the manga. He knocks up his girlfriend, doesn't even acknowledge when she says that she's pregnant. Moreover, he wants to beat a kid because he was the cause of his friend's accident. And he does beat the shit out of that kid. Yeah, some hero, huh? He is a douche. But that guy has the guts to stand up against a super villain who can crush heads just by thoughts. And Kaneda, having no powers, says this to him.
Kaneda! That's Mr. Kaneda to you, punk!
Both formats of the story opened with the shot of Tokyo City, where suddenly, right in the middle of it, without any trajectory seen of a missile, a huge explosion happens. Literally out of thin air. More than 2 decades after the mysterious explosion, Akira starts with Kaneda, a leader of a biker gang whose childhood friend Tetsuo Shima rides with him to fight the rival gang named the Clowns. During that chase, Tetsuo is harmed but in return acquires telekinetic psychic abilities when he crashes into a weird looking kid named Takashi, who is a psychic. Besides Takashi, there is Masaru and Kiyoko, a child who looks old like the other two but still has pink lips despite having pale skin. Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
The 3 psychics soon understand that Tetsuo may have always had the potential, but it was unlocked by 2 things happening at the same time: getting fuck high on drugs and colliding with another psychic's energy. So as a result, Tetsuo becomes a subject of curiosity for the government, as he will soon begin to discover what his mind can do, like teleporting, exploding things with his mind, fly through space, deflect bullets. I mean, the more the government tried to contain him, the more rebellious he became. Ever since the accident, he has been having headaches. And when Kaneda tries to help, Tetsuo doesn't listen to him, as he's unstable and very aggressive. Meanwhile, the military decides to capture Tetsuo before it's too late. But soon after, Tetsuo discovers what his mind can do. So what does he do? Kills everyone by making them explode. Yeah. He makes them explode. After escaping, he searches for more drugs because he knew that that would further enhance his powers. And so, he goes on to kill anyone who stood in his path. When this news reaches Kaneda through his gang member named Yamagata, they decide to ambush Tetsuo without having a complete understanding of what he is capable of. And as a result, what happens is Tetsuo ends up killing Yamagata in a standoff. And Kaneda, surviving the incident, decides to avenge Yamagata's death. An eye for an eye makes the whole Neo Tokyo blind. So the manga also has one of the best characters that's sadly not in the anime, like Chiyoko, who is so badass. She could easily have her own spin-off story. I mean, the woman can drive a tank, fire a machine gun, knock off bad guys with a single punch. And the reason why she isn't there in the anime is because Katsuhiro came up with her character only after the anime was released. Yeah, this is one of those Game of Thrones cases. The adaptation came out before the graphic novels were even finished. And so, a significant character like Lady Miyako is there in the anime for 30 seconds. I'm just thrown off like a background character who shows up and then dies quickly. But in manga, she plays an integral part who helps the female lead character named Kai discover that her mind is a vessel and can harness the power and I would say powers of other psychics, which makes her just as powerful or powerful enough to face Tetsuo. And it's very refreshing to see a female lead who isn't complaining or playing the damsel in distress. She can channel other psychics' powers through her and combine them to fight Tetsuo, which is pretty cool. So Tetsuo is quickly turning out to be more dangerous and powerful than any of the psychic children. I mean, except one. We'll get to that soon. A small group of government leaders start shitting their pants knowing that the power Tetsuo has is nearly identical to that of Akira, another controversial telepath, which is terrifying because Akira was solely responsible for the destruction of Tokyo back in 1988. It was an explosion that wasn't nuclear, but it obliterated everything for miles and miles, left a big ass crater. So it's very important that Tetsuo either learns to control his power or he better dies before he too unleashes the same kind of destruction. And to make matters worse, once Tetsuo finds out that since his frequency is the same as Akira, that motherfucker decides to wake him up from his 30 years of slumber. Oh yeah, Akira is still alive somewhere. And very much like Tetsuo's drug addiction, he's addicted to his new superpower and wants more of it, even though it might kill him. Which wouldn't be the worst thing, but one can't just wait for that moment to arrive, right? So much devastation can happen before that. A lot of people can die. So the boy who must not be awakened opens his eyes. Interesting difference between the anime and the manga is that in the movie, what happens is that the scientists who made Akira that way, they kind of panicked after he destroyed Tokyo. And whether Akira died naturally or was somehow killed is not clear, but they eventually sealed his organs in multiple jars and kept them in a sub-zero storage unit far below Tokyo streets because there was still some unexplained energy in his remains. But in the comic, the situation is not so grim. Akira simply wakes up, cracks open the chamber, and just walks out living thug life. But weirdly, he is still a kid. He hasn't grown old in 30 years. And seems very quiet initially as he reunites with Masaru, Kyoko, and Takashi. And from the looks, you could see that he's beginning to remember them. And you'll think that maybe he's not so bad until Takashi is shot dead in front of his eyes. Yeah, some dickhead attempting to shoot Akira misses and Takashi's head gets blown off. What happens then? Well, Akira, the boy everyone feared, pulls the same shit he did 3 decades ago and creates another explosion. And if things were not apocalyptic enough already in the story, man, do they go full Mad Max after the second explosion. So, New Tokyo is now in ruins. People are dying of hunger. There are now two major communities clashing with each other. One that supports Akira, who's led by Tetsuo, and the other one that follows Lady Miyako, the good one. And Tetsuo is now experimenting with people by feeding them drugs. The same drugs that gave him those superpowers. And he doesn't really fucking care if people can handle it or they die painfully. By the way, did I mention that his appearance changes over the course of the story as he slowly gets crazier and crazier? So now when Tetsuo has become untouchable, he has gone so powerful that the military is planning to sneak up on him with a laser satellite. And not just with a tank or something, a fucking satellite. And they indeed try, and they miss. But not completely. The laser still gets his arm. So next time, when he comes across that damn laser, Tetsuo decides to take out the satellite. So for the third act, and yes, we're reaching the end, the psychics unite to give their powers to Kai, with Kaneda and his gang teaming up with her. Now, as Tetsuo's powers continue to grow, his body begins to morph involuntarily. And at this point, he keeps losing control of his powers every now and then, which has transformed him into a monstrous, amoeba-like mass resembling a fetus that is absorbing everything near him, including Kaneda. Now it all hangs on the 4 psychics, and the strongest one of them all, Akira. They manage to open another dimension to absorb Tetsuo's energy. They successfully free Canada. Yeah, Canada is already free country. They successfully free Kaneda from Tetsuo's mass and then go for the ultimate move. Akira, along with other surviving psychics, take Tetsuo to a higher dimension. So, are they able to kill Tetsuo for good? Or do they leave him there in another dimension? I don't want to give everything away. I've already spilled a lot out of the story. Read the manga or watch the movie. If you are interested in seeing some really great hand-drawn art, then start with Akira. This is an 80s manga, but it does not look dated. There is absolutely stunning imagery all throughout 6 volumes. The background artwork delivers on a level that isn't seen in most manga today. But mind it, it is not for children. There is nudity, ultra-violence, like some guy gets shot 15 times, and not to mention drug abuse. So if you can handle those things, go for it. Look, it's never too late to get into new things like I did with anime. I mean, I'm still 4 years away from turning 40. I'm still young.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Akira is arguably one of the most influential manga ever created. It turned Katsuhiro Otomo into one of the gods of manga. The landmark film adaptation is one of the most important anime ever released and one of the films responsible for the popularity of anime in America and Europe. So to watch it, I would say you can try one of those things on the internet from where you can download stuff. Because obviously it's still too violent to be available on any streaming platform. Well, on this shady advice, allow me to wrap this up, but don't forget to like, share, subscribe.